And welcome back to another episode of the Insight and the Offsides podcast. I'm here with a very special guest today, weighing in at from the land of Los Angeles, California, the greatest, most world-renowned sports media personnel in all of existence. We have Jordan Zirm here with us today. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. You said it was going to be a good intro, and you were not wrong. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Man, it's an honor for you to be on here with me. Like I said before we started recording, been a huge fan since probably 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's probably when I started following you on Twitter and stuff and keeping up with all the podcasts and stuff. So, like I said, you're the most world-renowned media personnel person in all of existence.
Wow, so that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're up here, everybody else is just down here. So what made you get into the sports media business?
I think I got kind of lucky that I always knew I wanted to work like in sports in some capacity. I think in similar ways we were talking about how, both of our dads made us kind of Browns fans, but
yeah.
I sort of grew up and like my dad would be reading the sports page every morning at breakfast, and then I would wait for him to finish it, and then I would read it. And I think that's how I fell in love, with writing specifically, and then sports. And I think I just in high school, I wrote about sports for our student newspaper and our yearbook. And I just knew I wanted to write about sports in some capacity if I could. So that's what I went to college for, to get a degree in journalism. And I think I just always, I liked writing. I liked words and telling stories. And then I also was obsessed with sports. So I was if I can combine the two and someone will pay me to do it, let's go. So yeah, I think I knew pretty early on that's what I wanted to do. And I just sort of, tried to make it happen as best I could. So that's kind of how the journey got started.
Heck yeah. And so when you got your journalism degree, when you finally got into, getting into where you're at today, what was some of the learning curves and what were some of the cool doors that opened for you?
For sure. A lot of learning curves, man. I think when you're fresh out of college, you kind of think you know more than you do. I think you kind of get out there into the world and start writing specifically, and working with people who are editing your stuff, and they're like, okay, we need to change this. This sentence doesn't flow very well. We need to change this. And so, I think, early on, it's just you're just learning a lot. You're learning how to write better every time you write. You're learning how to talk to people, how to talk to athletes when you're doing interviews and that type of thing. So, I think I came out of college and felt pretty confident about myself, but I think there was just you come out into the world and there's just a lot to learn. Fortunately, I've worked with a lot of great people that have sort of, made me a better just person talking and writing about sports. But that was definitely a big learning curve. And, but I think it opened all sorts of doors. I think just, some of the best stuff has been not even really the job itself, but meeting people within other people who cover the industry. And I've made really good friends just from if I was going to a Cavs practice and there were people my age that were covering the Cavs for other outlets and getting to know those people, those are people I've known now for a decade. And when I come back to Cleveland, I just saw a friend of mine who I got to know from, around that time. I was just back in Cleveland for a couple of weeks and, met up with him for a beer. And so, those are friendships that continue. And I think but not only that, friendships, but also that opens doors to, I work at this place has a job opening, would you be interested in it? So it's also, that networking aspect of it too. But yeah, I've just gotten to meet really cool people, gotten to talk to really cool people who have, been doing it for longer than me and on bigger stages than me. And, people I idolized, growing up that covered sports and that type of thing. So, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I've got to ask, how was it being on a podcast with Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins?
It was super surreal, man. It was all of a sudden I was texting with Joe Thomas and I was this, I don't think 15-year-old me would believe that, yeah, man, you're just going to have like Joe Thomas's number.
Yeah.
No, that was one of the best experiences because like they are both like two of the nicest people I've ever met. You know, like at that time I was just this dude who was just gonna like brought on to like help the show. They didn't know me at all. They could have just been like, oh, this dude is just like, you know, go get us coffee and we won't speak to him. They were like two of the nicest people I've ever met. I stay in touch with Hawk. He's out here. He spends some of the time out here in LA. But like we still like he'll text me about Brown stuff, and that's still like super surreal. Like it is just it's one of the crazier things that has happened to me in life is like being able to text with guys who played for the Browns when I was just like a fan, you know. So no, like I couldn't speak more highly of like two guys for like just how they treat people and who they are. And had an absolute blast the basically year I was on that show. That was so much fun. And yeah, it was crazy, man. It was something I never thought, but like getting to like ask Joe and Hawk about just like how they felt about things going on with the Browns is a crazy thing.
Yeah, and then if I'm not mistaken, that was right around when Baker had gotten drafted, right?
Yeah, it was. So, yeah, it was really like when that whole era sort of had started. So yeah, it was like right in the middle of like sort of the Baker era, both the ups and then kind of going into the downs. But yeah, it was also just a great time to like talk Browns because they were relevant for the first time in a very long time. So yeah,
that 2017 season was a little hard for me. You know, that was my senior year, and then you know where I'm from, it's a small town in Kentucky, and everybody just kind of picks and chooses who the best teams are. That's who their favorite teams are. Mm-hmm. So, you know, all the Patriots fans, like all the Seahawk fans, they're just like drilling me the whole time. Because 0-16, like you can't even argue. You're like, I know. Like we probably couldn't beat Georgia. Like it's just stuff like that. And then we get Baker, and then we just start going uphill. And it was just like, I wish I was like in high school so I could just like in your face. So,
yeah.
But now you're with Sports Network, correct?
Sporting News.
Sporting News, I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, you're good.
So, and you've been there for 3 years?
Been there for 3 years. I moved out to LA to work in social media for the NFL. So I did that for 3 years. And then, took this job kind of running the social team over at Sporting News, and have been doing that for the past 3 years now.
That's awesome. Awesome. So is that going pretty good?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's like social media is a different world. You talk about like learning curve, and I sort of went from like writing and being used to writing like longer articles and stuff like that to, social media where, what you're writing are short captions that maybe have, 10 to 20 words in them. So that was another learning curve for me, like having to figure out how to create for, like Instagram posts and Twitter posts and all those things. So that was another learning curve. And that was like a whole second like career for me because I had never really, like I had my own Instagram and Twitter, but like, I was putting whatever I wanted on there. I wasn't really giving it like a second thought about professionalism or anything like that. So, but no, it's been good, man. It's been the world has, the landscape has changed so much since I came out of college. Like it's crazy. When I was in journalism school at the University of Missouri, like I was in, basically it was called like newspaper journalism. Like I was learning how to write newspaper articles. And then like by the time I graduated, it was like no one's doing that anymore. And now they teach classes on social media there, but I didn't have any of that. I was like right on the cusp. So it's just changed a lot, and you have to sort of change with it. And I sort of, went the route of social media sort of now in the kind of back half here. And, but no, it's been cool. Like it's very obviously like real time, you're real time all day on stuff that's going on. So it's different, but it's, it's been cool.
Yeah. And, Twitter, I know you post a lot on Twitter as well, and that is a ruthless place because you just ask a simple question. Like I put one out the other day, and it was just like, Jimmy Haslam had mentioned Nick Chubb being in the Ring of Honor. And I was just like, simply, okay, there's a lot of Hall of Famers. Like, you've got Joe Thomas, Otto Graham, Jim Brown, people like that are in that. And I was just like, do you think Nick Chubb deserves to be in there? His career's not over. We don't know what He could come back, be a beast, or however his career may turn out for the rest of it. And I simply just put that out. And man, some of the comments underneath it, you would have thought I shot somebody. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And they're just like, are you an idiot? And it's just like, just simple questions can turn into like some of the most gut-wrenching thing. And to be a social media person, to post across all platforms, you got to have thick skin, for sure.
You do, man. And you gotta, I think like the biggest thing I've learned, both like from my personal posting experience and just like for work, is like you just can't, you kind of just gotta let it bounce off you, because like it's just, the internet is just the most insane place in the world, and like people are gonna say things and you're just gonna be like, what? And but you just gotta be like, you almost just gotta be like, that's so insane, I'm not even gonna let it like spend a second of more than 5 seconds thinking about it. So yeah, it's a crazy place, man. Comments have just gotten like progressively worse and worse and worse. Like the comment sections on Instagram, and like whenever we put up a post on Sporting News and there's like 100 comments, I'm like, I'm not even going in there. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know what's happening in there. Because it's going to be wild stuff. So you kind of just learn to let it roll off your back a little bit. Obviously, there's people that comment that have, legitimate, like want to have a conversation, want to have a back and forth, and you can kind of like, filter those people in and out pretty easily. You can tell who like actually wants to engage in a meaningful way. But yeah, man, it's commenters, man. They're a different category of person.
Always behind burner accounts too. Yes, I feel like
always. It's very easy. Yeah, always has like it's always like a weird AI generated photo. Like they don't have a photo of themselves. You always know.
Yeah, it used, like in the old Twitter days, it was the old egg.
Yeah, it was the egg. All the egg accounts. Oh man, what a throwback. Yeah.
But moving forward, so Jordan, like you said earlier, you're from Cleveland guy. Mount Rushmore of all Cleveland just athletes.
Wow.
Or people. We'll go people too.
Okay.
Who you throwing on there?
Oh man, that's a great question. I mean, LeBron is on there. That's the quickest sort of no-brainer for me. LeBron's on there. Yeah, it's interesting because like, Cleveland has a lot of athletes that from a long time ago that are really famous. But like, I don't have, like, people love Bernie Kosar. People love Jim Brown. People love Bob Feller or like a Cy Young. And like, I respect the history of it, but like, that's not people I really grew up with or know about. Mm-hmm. Like I grew up with like the 90s Indians. And like, so, for me, like, I don't know if I'd put them on Mount Rushmore, but like, somebody like a Kenny Lofton or Omar Vizquel, or like, those are guys, a Jim Thome. Those are guys that I idolized kind of growing up. But man, if I had to pick 4, I would probably say, LeBron. Golly, this is hard. This is so much harder than I thought. This is so much harder than I thought.
It really is.
Honestly, I'd probably put Jose Ramirez up there.
Okay.
I'd probably put him in there just in terms of like more modern, like from when I started paying attention to sports, really. So let's go LeBron. Let's go Jose Ramirez. Oh man, like, do I want to put another Cav on there? Like, maybe I put Kyrie on there just because he and LeBron had the championship. So let's do that. And then, God, the fourth one's really hard.
Johnny Football.
Yeah, and then Johnny Manziel. Yeah. And then Brian Hoyer. Let's put Brian Hoyer on there as the fourth.
Yeah, you got just half and half. You
got
got 3 and half.
Right down the middle. Yeah, I feel good about those 3. The rest are like, it's interesting. You mentioned Nick Chubb. Like, I don't know if I'd put him on the Mount Rushmore. He's obviously like, I have his jersey here behind me. So like, he obviously like means a great deal to Cleveland, is one of like the most exciting athletes I've ever watched. I don't know if he's on the Mount Rushmore, but like he's close. Yeah, but it's kind of like, it's like LeBron and then everybody else for me. But I do think Jose and Kyrie I feel good about in terms of like impact on myself and who like shaped my Cleveland sports experience. So I'll do those 3 and I'll leave the 4th kind of open to like somebody like a Nick Chubb, somebody like, God, like I used to love watching CC Sabathia. He wasn't in Cleveland long enough, I don't think, for me to like, but he's like, that's another guy that I like was right when I was in college, and they were trying to get to the World Series with when they blew a lead to the Red Sox, so we don't need to talk about. But yeah, like he was up there for me too. There's a lot.
See, you said CC Sabathia. I watched CC Sabathia pitch when I was 8 years old, and it was like that year that they traded him to the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched him play against the Braves. And I just remember this lady behind me. Like, I don't even really remember the game. I don't remember who won. But I remember this lady behind me. She is saying, CC, let's go CC, the whole time. And like he wasn't even in the game. I remember my dad like talking about this the other day. He goes, dude, he was not pitching and she was still screaming for CC Sabathia.
That's the number one CC fan. Yeah, it's legit. Yeah, man.
Somewhere screaming it.
He was so cool. He was ahead of his time. He wore his hat like cocked to the side a little bit. He had the pants all the way rolled down. Like, he brought a little bit of swag to the mound that like at that time in baseball was really not happening. So I'll always like CC's one of my just a personal favorite just for those reasons. So
yeah. So another question for you, just concerning Cleveland sports. What do you think is the biggest heartbreak that you've had as a Cleveland fan?
Ooh, biggest heartbreak, man.
I know
there's a lot to pick from. Yeah. I mean, now I think the biggest ones I go back a little bit. I think like obviously like the 2016 World Series was tough, but like it's different. I joke around with friends where I'm like, yeah, after Rajai Davis hit the home run, the rest of the game doesn't count. So I don't know what that never
exactly.
It didn't end. It's still tied, and like so that's whatever. The two for me that I remember most vividly though was the '97 World Series when the Indians blew I believe it was a 2-1 lead to the Marlins in Game 7. Jose Mesa, that whole thing. That one hurts. Mm-hmm. I remember that one very vividly. I was very young, but like I remember that one very vividly. And then honestly, one of my biggest heartbreaks is I think it was 2002. Browns had made the playoffs for the first time in a long time. And Kelly Holcomb at quarterback playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in a wild card game. They get up, I forget, 20, 25 points in that game. Everybody it was like, damn, they like smashed the Steelers in Pittsburgh and then blew that lead. That one to me is probably up there because I just remember it so well. And I remember being so excited for that game. I remember being like I could not believe how well they were playing. I had a Dennis Northcutt jersey. My guy was going off until he dropped a very crucial pass late in the game. So like that one for me, that one is up there. That's probably my number one. Had the Cavs not won a championship, there would be some Cavs moments like the losing to Orlando in the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals where they would have played the Lakers and Kobe in the finals had they won. That one was brutal because that was like a Cavs team where I was like, this is it. This is the team, So
yeah.
I remember that series hit me pretty hard. But yeah, for me, it's probably like 97 World Series, but then that 2002 Browns, even though it was just a wild card, it wasn't like to get to the Super Bowl or anything. It was still like such a brutal collapse that I've never, and it was against the Steelers. So it's like, I've never forgotten that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, dude, you just brought back a memory, dude. I remember watching that. I was like nine when that Eastern Conference Finals happened. And I had just really like kind of started digging in deep into the NBA.
Yeah.
Because, Kentucky, huge college basketball. So it's always been like that. And then like 2007, like when they made the finals, that's really when I started like tuning in, like kind of understanding the NBA because that always had the Cavs on, but it was just kind of like that. But yeah, I remember playing 2K a lot. And I always traded for Kobe, and Kobe and LeBron were always
there you go
winning chips for me. So that's a little throwback there.
Yeah, man, that series, it's just one of the things you remember. Like both games 1 and 2, they had double-digit leads that they at halftime that they blew. Obviously, LeBron had that game winner. Otherwise, they would have gotten like swept in that series. But like, yeah, they were ahead in almost every game, blew it. Yeah. Anyway, that was a tough one. That was tough.
Yeah. And then, man, I remember I cried when LeBron left, when he said, I'm going to South Beach. Like, I cried.
Yeah.
10-year-old me cried
Yeah.
like tears.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. I was watching that with a friend of mine, and he threw his cell phone across the room, and it like hit the wall and exploded. Like I'll never forget. Like that's how mad he was. Yeah, that was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that was like, dude, I thought the world was ending when LeBron was going to South Beach. Like
It
I thought
basically
was
did. It basically did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think of that. But I mean, I guess that does qualify as a heartbreak. I was thinking more like actual games. But yeah, that obviously is pretty high up there.
Yeah, and then I remember that off season when he came back. Like I kept telling everybody, like all my friends, I'm like, he's coming back. It's happening. He's coming back. And then it finally hits. You know, Jay Crawford hits ESPN, announces it, and I'm like, I was at a church camp when he announced it too, so I went nuts. Church was great for me that night.
Love it.
So, yeah. But you know, in Cleveland right now, there's, you know, the guards are struggling. It's NBA free agency, and then, you know, the Browns. Yeah. So like, what do you think regarding the Browns? Like, where do you think they're at? Like, do you think, you know, potentially playoff pushing, or do you think it's just going to be kind of like a 4-7?
Yeah, it's so high. I mean, they're so strangely constructed right now in that, like, you still have some of the, you know, you still have a Myles Garrett, you still have a Denzel Ward, you still have like an Njoku and a Jerry Jeudy. Like, you have some really talented pieces on both sides of the ball, but then, like, you know, your main position, the quarterback, is one of the most hilarious quarterback rooms I can remember in recent memory. Just because, like, you know, I have no idea what Flacco has left. Like, you know, I don't know if he'll be able to replicate anything he did a couple years ago when he was with the Browns. And then you have like a handful. You've Kenny Pickett, who I don't really believe in any way. And then you have two rookies who are basically complete unknowns, like truly complete unknowns. So, like, you don't have any idea what you're going to get out of the quarterback position. And you know, if I were to guess right now, it's probably not going to be great in terms of production from the quarter. Like, even if like Shador or Dylan Gabriel play and they look promising, like, it's still going to be years of development there. So, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to come close to that. I think they'll be better than people think. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a 1-15 or 1-16 season or anything like that. But I think there's going to be some growing pains this year because a lot of their, you know, the important positions, they have super young or like Joe Flacco playing, and you just like, you have no idea what's going to happen. So, it's going to be a weird year, man. I mean, a lot of Brown seasons are weird. This one's going to be specifically one of the weirder ones.
Yeah, I mean, going in the last year, like, if you would have told me we were going 3-14, I would not have believed you. Yeah. I was like Super Bowl or bust last year. Like, going into the year, I'm like, we're running it back. You know, we went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco and like no offensive line, no running backs. Like, I mean, I was just like dead set. And then we get Jerry Jeudy. I'm like, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, it's happening. And then I forgot we rooted for the Browns, and then so that happened. But so, are you like, what do you think about Shador? Like, are you a wrist up guy, or are you just kind of like, if he balls, he balls? Like,
I don't have a good enough watch to do wrists up yet. You know, I got like my Apple Watch on. I can't even.
Yeah,
I can't flex like that quite yet. I like the wrist up as a celebration. I think it's great. I actually like. I'm very intrigued by Shador. I think like, there's enough evidence, I think, that like I think he has potential to be a fine quarterback. Like, now I don't know if like he can be above that, if he's somebody that's going to like, you know, be a kind of a floor lifter, they call it, like come in and really like elevate an offense. But he's super accurate. And I think you even saw, obviously, like, okay, it's mini camp, it's OTAs, whatever, but like, you've seen the accuracy. Like, I think that's as advertised. It's just going to be all the other stuff. It's going to be, you know, he took so many sacks in college, a lot of his own making because he bails out of the pocket. And so, like, I think the learning curve could be steep. But, like, I am intrigued. There's people that I think have written him off as, like the system he played in Colorado and his tendency to hold onto the ball like it's going to be a disaster. I don't think I'm there yet. I think like there's a lot that he can learn. I think Stefanski is a smart dude that can teach him how to operate his offense. It's very quarterback friendly, as we know. So I'm intrigued by Shedeur. I'm more intrigued by Shedeur than anybody else on in the quarterback room. Like, I just don't. Dylan Gabriel seems like a super nice dude. I just don't think like he's got NFL talent. And then I said before, like I'm not sure what they see in Kenny Pickett, and then Flacco is kind of just like a coin flip, So, but I'm intrigued by Shedeur, and I think like, I'm where they took him. Basically, there's no like they can straight up cut him out of training camp if he's bad, and it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. So like, it's not like they took him in the first round and they need him to be good, So I'm intrigued. I hope I get to do Riss Up, man. That'd be that means they found something in the draft. So we'll see.
Yeah. And it would be such a Browns thing to do though too. Is like take two quarterbacks, and the one that you took last was going to be the franchise.
Yeah.
And but I hope he is, man, because he's such a fun dude. Like, he's so easy.
Yes.
Like, you either love him or you hate him.
Yeah, you do. But I think like you can already he has a personality and sort of an energy around him that people obviously gravitate toward. Like, you already saw like videos of like David Njoku wanting to just hang out with it. Like when David Njoku was mic'd up, he's like hanging out with Shedeur, talking to Shedeur. Like, so if he's good, I mean, he's the type of dude that has like, the charisma and the personality to also be a face of a franchise. If he's bad, it could go the other way. So we're just going to have to see. But I mean, at the very least, like had they not drafted him and they straight up went into the season with like Flacco, Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, then you're just like, well, what am I even supposed to get excited about? So at the very least, there's a storyline to watch.
Yeah. See, I sarcastically got hopped when we signed Flacco back because I was like, we're so back, baby. Yeah. And it's just, like you said, it's just such an odd makeup of a quarterback room. Like, old man Flacco, he might have to have a cane out there. And then Kenny Pickett, I don't know if he can grip a football.
It's unclear. There's no evidence that he can. So
yeah. And then you got Voldemort. That's what I call a certain quarterback we don't talk about anymore.
Yeah.
Or he should whatever it is they say in Harry Potter about him. So yeah, I want to be hopped. Like, I feel like I love Quinshon Judkins. Like, I feel like he's going to be a great running back. And the pieces we got on defense, I feel like we have the talent there to still be a top 10 defense. But it's just the schedule of it, man. It's just like it's such a tough.
The schedule's brutal. That's the other thing too. It's like they don't even have a chance. So I think like you got to temper your expectations. I think like the season can be a win if they find something in either of their rookie quarterbacks. But even if they don't and they pick high again next year, that's okay because there's obviously like it's a better quarterback class, and so like there's opportunities. It's unfortunate that this is the position they're in, that they have to consider these things and they have to sort of scale down that way because of he who shall not be named type of thing.
Yeah.
But like, they took a swing and they missed pretty bad. And this is, they've at the very least, I think, admitted and understand the mistake they made. And now we have to move on from that. And it just sucks that like, this is what this season and probably next season are going to have to be.
Yeah. And I think the Haslams get a lot of flack for that trade. But honestly, going back to the time point or the standpoint that we were at, like, we're barely like we're sucking and we should be making the playoffs. And, they just go out because they're like, all we're missing is a quarterback. Like, if we have consistent quarterback play, we can make the playoffs. And I get the reach, but like the swing and miss, it sucks. But like, I applaud the ownership for actually making just the swing, like just actually going up to the batter's box and just swinging. And because a lot of teams don't do that. Like, I mean, the Bengals, I mean, they're paying 3 guys and that's probably going to be their whole roster. They're going to be going to McDonald's and looking on Indeed and filling up the 53 here soon. So
yeah, it's, I appreciate the swing. I think I mean, obviously there was already a lot of baggage that came with Deshaun. I think the other thing that I've never fully understood is like he so clearly didn't fit into the style of offense that like Kevin Stefanski ran. So it was like, listen, okay, maybe they just got arrogant and were like, we can get him to play in any sort of offense. But like, it was such a mismatch in terms of like personnel and like what they wanted to run. Like, it was pretty doomed from the beginning. So like, that to me is like, okay, listen, you can take the swing. Just make sure that like it's gonna work in some way, or it has a chance to work. So I mean, it just like, he just didn't fit the offense that they wanted to run, and you saw that bear itself out on the field where he played like one of the worst quarterbacks in Browns history. So like, so I agree. While I agree with you, like, take the swing, I think sometimes they are kind of like, well, just do it and we'll make it work. And like, that's just, you gotta give more consideration to fit before you give a guaranteed contract that's the largest in NFL history. So yeah.
But I remember seeing that happen, because I was kind of iffy on the trade at first, because I was big on Russell Wilson going into that offseason, because like, I felt like there's no shot you can run it back with Baker. And like, the three guys that I was kind of looking into were Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, and like Deshaun kind of on that back burner just because, the baggage, which at the time, like, some stuff was still unclear. Like, you really didn't know the full story till like 3 months after we got him, and then everybody's like his eyebrows raised, and you're like, oh, this ain't gonna be good, like stuff like that. But there's like, I feel like being a Browns fan could be like one of them things you could get like a tax write-off on. Should have.
Yeah, I've had a lot of emotional stress because of the Browns. Like,
exactly.
I deserve restitution for that. So yeah, anytime those checks want to start showing up at my apartment, like, I think that's fine. I'll take that.
Even like workplace, like, how like you get like sick, like, and it was like what type of sick you can get like sick days for. I think like Browns, like the Monday after a Browns game.
Yeah,
that should count.
Yeah, Monday should be off.
Free day off.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We gotta mourn.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of that quarterback position for the Browns, there is a guy in next year's draft. I was like pounding on the table, like begging this guy to enter the draft in last year. Didn't look too good in the last game he played. Might have got a little hot just because he is a Cleveland guy. What do you think about Drew Aller?
Yeah, he's a fascinating prospect, because I think the times I've watched him, he like, you obviously can see why people like him, but then you also see like the flaws that he has, and like, I think I never fully, like, there were a lot of people that talked about before he decided to go back to school and might be coming out, like, a lot of people were like, oh, I would take Drew Aller in a heartbeat. And I remember watching some Penn State games and just being like, I don't really quite understand like what people see in him. So maybe that's beneficial for him to spend another year in school, and like, we'll see where he improves. I think right now I would be a little leery of using a high pick, specifically like the Browns using a high pick on him, and bringing him in. But obviously, like, you can understand, like, the arm talent is there. Like, you can understand why he looks the part, But I remember just being a little underwhelmed when I watched, compared to how people would like talk about him on Twitter. So I was a little split on Drew. So we'll see how he does this season and what he's worked on.
So like, I bought into the hype like right before the Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't watch a lot of Big Ten football. I watch a lot of SEC football.
Yeah.
And like, occasionally Penn State game will pop up, and the few like highlights I had watched him, he looks solid. And then I started watching highlight videos, and that's just like when I went wrong, was just watching those.
Yeah.
And I got a little ahead of myself, and I was like, at 2, I think the Browns, if he declares, Browns should take Drew Aller. And this is like in January, like I said, just like right before that game. Man, I had to turn them off, like turn the notes off.
Yeah.
Like, I was just getting hounded, and it was just like, man, I was like, that was such a bad. But then I started seeing like the, everybody's viewing it, all the retweets. I was just like, bad publicity ain't,
Hey, you'll take it.
Yeah, the numbers are there. But yeah, I think if he pans out, like if he shows up and we do have a top 5 pick, I mean, I don't think you could get more of a home run hit right there. Like, I mean, dude's a Browns guy. Like, I mean, it'd be like Bernie reincarnated, you know? I mean, Bernie's still here, thank God, but, you know, it's just like a clone. That's a better word for it.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be in the conversation again for sure. So it'll, you know, him and Arch Manning and whoever else. So it'll be a fascinating QB class, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and just moving forward into the NBA. So, like, has the NBA free agency just been like a madhouse to you as well?
Today specifically. So like I'm on Pacific time. So like I usually start for sporting news at like, I mean it's like 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. here, but it's already noon in out east, and like so at 8 a.m. on the dot today was when Miles Turner. The news came out that Miles Turner was signing with the Bucks, and then that was followed up by, and to do that, they're waiving Dame Lillard, which was like, I literally thought it was like, if I had to double check the account was like a legitimate account. So like this morning, I was literally like still in bed, and it was like, oh my, like what is happening? There's so much happening right now. So yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, you know, there's like this, they let teams like talk to players now, like that legal tampering period. So like when free agency starts, it's just like it's like boom, 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 boom. So like, yeah, man, it's a lot. It's great. Like no crazy huge. I mean, I think the Dame thing was pretty wild, but like, you know, outside of that, there hasn't been anything that's been like a huge deal. But it's just like the amount of like the Nuggets have signed like 5 players already. You know, so it's just like it's just it's a lot, man. It was a crazy morning today. There was a lot happening.
Yeah, like. I was noticing, like, I was like, there's no, like, nothing, like, massive. It's always, like, these mid-tier kind of guys. Like, yesterday, the Nuggets traded Michael Porter for Cam Johnson. And it was just like, okay, like, I get it. Kind of lateral move. Both positions get filled for both teams. And then, like, the Dame, like, I know Dame's not what he is or what he was, but like it's Damian Lillard. That's $63 million a year.
Yeah.
It was like 113, I think it totaled up to. Like they're gonna have to pay him.
Yeah, they have to over the next 5 years. Like they have to pay that money in. I think it's like I don't know 22 million. Yeah, however many that is per year. I mean it's a huge. Yeah. It's gonna be a huge like cap hit to them. I think especially like in the. Like at 2-3 years down the road is something I was reading. So like they have to win now basically because that money's going to come into play on the salary cap. So no, it's wild. I mean, obviously he's coming off a serious injury. I don't know if he's going to play at all this season or what his or he's going to miss at least if not all most of it. So like I think they are in such an urgent mode because of Giannis that they like don't want him to leave and they're doing anything they can. But man, that's a wild move. I don't think somebody like Dame Lillard doesn't get waived very often. Like somebody of that caliber does not. You don't see those words together in a sentence. So
yeah, it's crazy. And then like you keep hearing these rumblings like Giannis wants out, but then he's like I don't want out, and you're like, what do we believe? Like you can go team up with Steph, like, and then LeBron, like all that stuff, like. Rich Paul put out yesterday. Fandom in me, bring the king back. Like that's what the fandom in me is. But you brought up a good point before the show. Like maybe not till next year, because he opted in.
He opted in, which obviously like doesn't mean a ton, other than now he's like officially under contract. But yeah, I think like. If I were to get like would be a guess, but yeah, I think like as we approach, depending on what happens this season with the Lakers, but again they've missed out on some targets that they want. Like they lost Dorian Finney-Smith, who is like a great 3-and-D wing for them. He's gone. They missed out. I know they were interested in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who went to the Hawks. Like I know there's some free agent targets that they were looking at that they missed out on. I know like they have interest in DeAndre Ayton, and then there was a story that came out today about how awful DeAndre Ayton was in the locker room for the Blazers, and that's why the Blazers were like, no thank you. So it's like, good luck with that. So I don't know. It's like Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves, but like the rest of that roster is not that good. So yeah, I would not be surprised if like he looks at the landscape and is like, at the end of next season, like this is my time. If I've got 1 to 2 years left, what more like ready-made team for me than the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have not had a wing of LeBron / forward of LeBron's quality. I mean, very few are, but even anybody coming close at that position since he left. So,
yeah, that's true. So going back to the Luka trade, what was your first reaction to that?
I think I stared at the notification on my phone for like 5 minutes because I just was like, I didn't understand. Yeah, I mean, it will probably go down as one of the craziest trades in NBA history. Like, no matter what, even if Luka like gains 400 pounds and never, wins an NBA championship, it's still one of the like at the time and the caliber of player he is, it still will forever be one of the craziest trades in NBA history. So yeah, I think I was like everybody, where like I had to like text people and be like, this is a real thing. Like, that's a real tweet type of thing. So yeah, that took over my whole night when that happened. That was absolutely insane.
Yeah. See, I was so glad that story broke when it did, because Kentucky had just lost to Arkansas, and like I was just like, oh no, that's going to be the only thing they talk about for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the Luka trade happens. I'm like, thank you, God. Like,
you're off the hook.
And it was like you said, like you don't see star caliber players like that get traded mid-season.
No, you don't. And I mean, he's even beyond that. I mean, he's like he's a generational player. Like, he's one of the most talented, especially offensively, probably one of the most talented offensive players you'll ever see. So, just a wild thing, man. That, and it's funny too, because I don't even think, like, obviously Nico Harrison, the GM, like, I don't even think he understood the gravity of what he had done until the reactions came in. I think he understood, like, oh, okay, this is going to be bad. Fans will be mad, but whatever. Like, I think even he was taken aback by, like, because it was just such an unbelievable thing to do.
Yeah, and I felt bad for AD a little bit, because, like, like all these fans are just hating now. Like, they just hate it.
Yeah.
And
he didn't ask for it, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then they fall into Cooper Flag, and so they're going to have a good team, and we'll see what happens there, but yeah, it is truly one of the, like, I don't think anybody will forget where they were when Luka got traded.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's kind of like the OBJ trade for Browns fans. Like, when it happened, oh, dude, I went nuts.
Yeah.
I ran through my yard screaming. Like, I was doing a homework assignment, and like I literally went, oh my God. And I was living with my parents at the time, and my mom goes, what? Is everything okay? I go, oh my God. And I just start running, and she's like, what is going on? And I start calling people. I'm like, we got OBJ.
Yeah, that was yeah, at the time, that was great. That was like a player that you would like never envision in a Browns uniform, So like, yeah, I was the same way. I freaked out. I was so hyped because he obviously is like, yeah, especially then when he was still kind of like, it felt like he was still like at the peak of his sort of like his career. It really has not gone well since then. But like, he was at the time, yeah, it was a crazy thing to think about, like him and Jarvis Landry also being on the same team at that time. So yeah, that was a wild one.
Yeah, the vibes going into that 2019 season were just the best.
They were.
Like, if Super Bowls were given in the summer, we would have won 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have those
Freddie
rings.
Kitchens.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing to think about, like that they hired Freddie, that Baker and OBJ had like no chemistry whatsoever from quarterback to receiver. Like it went downhill so quick, but it was great for.
Oh, it was bad.
It was great for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. And that offseason just brings up such like weird memories, because it's like we had a chance to get Bruce Arians.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Mike McCarthy interviewed for the job. Like, we had some like good coaches kind of interview for that spot, and then we take Freddie Kitchens because of Baker.
Yeah, Baker loved him. Baker loved him. Honestly, I remember being like, I loved Freddie. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, give him a chance, whatever. Yeah, that was a huge mistake. That dude was in over his head from the minute he took that job.
Bad, dude.
But
bad.
You know what? You live and you learn, man.
Yeah, and speaking of the NFL, big trade happened today. Jalen Ramsey and Giannou Smith for Minka. That's nuts.
Yeah, pretty nuts. It's so weird. Like I feel like you rarely see like cornerbacks getting swapped for each other like that. You know,
Yeah.
like I mean, it's so hard to know. I think Jalen has more left than Minka does. I think, like, unfortunately, the Steelers may have come out the winners in that deal, because I think Jalen. I mean, both of them. I don't think their coverage skills are what they used to be when they were kind of like in their prime. Obviously, like, cornerback is one of those positions where you start going athletic decline. Really, like, you got to be. It's just hard, man. You got to be covering these young, like the receivers are always going to be young, and so like as you get older, they're just getting faster. So, but I think like Jalen still has ability left that maybe Minka doesn't. So, but yeah, that was wild. The Steelers are also just kind of going for it, but with like a weird roster and with like banking that Aaron Rodgers is going to be good, which I think is an insane thing to bank on at this point in his career. So I'm fascinated. I don't know who they're going to throw the ball to. I guess DK, but like the George Pickens trade was like, okay, well now you're just kind of swapping one sort of like kind of overhyped receiver for another, and you still don't have like a wide receiver too. So like their team is fascinating. I'm not really sure what they're doing, but they're going for it.
Do you think when they sign the contracts to like play for the Steelers that they like get signed up on AARP?
They do. They have to, actually. It's a requirement. Yeah. It comes with it. Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like they've just gotten really old, like, this offseason.
Well, it's super old, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, I mean, I get you doing that when you're, like, one or two pieces away from you, like, legitimately feel you think you can win a Super Bowl, which maybe they do, but, like, I would ask them, what about the last couple years of Aaron Rodgers would make you think that, like, he's going to come in and just all of a sudden look like he did in Green Bay? Like, I don't know, man. I mean, hey, I'm not mad about it. If they want to make dumb decisions, like, please feel free. It's usually the Browns making dumb decisions. If they want to do it, please go ahead. So I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. I think they saw them garbage time stats that he racked up last year, and they were like, "Oh, he's back.
He's back.
He's back."
We got DK, and they've got an all-star team from like 6 years ago. So let's ride.
Yeah. If it was like mid 2010s, like, probably been the scariest team ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you had prime Aaron Rodgers throwing to like early DK. Oof. Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have like Darius Slay lined up across from Jalen Ramsey. Like, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, but they missed the boat a little bit on that.
Yeah. They're still stuck back then, back when they had Big Ben. But Jordan, I thank you so much for hopping on with me
man,
tonight.
Of course.
Man. It's been an honor.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you, man. Appreciate you thinking of me and having me on. And this was really fun. And it's also crazy, like, Brown season's going to be here before we know it, too. So,
dude, it feels like it's flew by.
Yeah. And, well, it's always like the summer always flies by, like it's already July. And then, like, training camp's at the end of the month. So it's just like, like it's here.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
I feel like football season ends, and then you're like, okay, March Madness is around the corner. And then after March Madness, you're like, okay, where's football? I need it.
Yeah.
And then so we're almost there. So that's the good part.
That is. We always come back. We always come back.
Yeah. But once again, thank you so much for jumping on with me tonight. Truly appreciate it. And drop your like follows and stuff where people can follow you at.
Oh, for sure. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's just my name @Jordan Zirm. Look me up, give us a follow, and then follow us over at Sporting News on Instagram, on Twitter, same handle @Sporting News. Come check out our work over there. So, man, that's where I'm at.
Yep, the greatest sports news in all of the world.
No better sports news than that.
Exactly, and. God bless.
All right, thanks, Ben.